Hey y'all, thank you for joining me tonight. I am going to talk about my experience with losing my vision. I'm going to talk tonight about from the time I was little till about the time I went into junior high. I'm going to try to keep the videos pretty short so everybody can get through them. I know everybody's time is very limited these days, but I thought maybe somebody might want to know my story, and if not, at least it's out there and my story will be told. So my vision story started at age 5. I guess when I went into school, they do the visual test with everybody. You stand in line like cattle and they take your visual IQity tests, excuse me. And I guess I failed the test. So, I guess at that time they send a note home with you, and my mom took me to the eye doctor, and sure enough, I was blind in my left eye. And at that time, the doctor here in our little town told my mom I had a retinal detachment, and we didn't know why. My parents were divorced back then. So, that was that. That was just part of me, and we went on about life. And I went through school, and nobody, treated me any different. And that was just, the way it was. And as I got older going through elementary school, my eye hurt a lot. It was always in pain, just like a throbbing pain. And towards the end of elementary school, excuse me, a plane's going by. Towards the end of elementary school, my eye started getting really, really red down towards, the bottom inner corner of my eye. And my iris, the color part of the eye, started to fall back. And the color was like fading away, and the pupil part started to not be a circle anymore. It was almost like just the ink blot was like starting to, drip out of the circle, and it was starting to turn white. So it was pretty freaky looking, and the tumor was getting really big, or the spot in my eye at that time was getting, pretty big pretty fast, and it was turning, this deep red color, like just a bloody color. And at that time, elementary school kids are cruel, and I got made fun of, and it didn't bother me. I learned to have thick skin, I think, back then. So I still had a lot of friends, and that was that, And the summer between 6th and 7th grade, I guess I was about 11, I asked my mom if she could take me somewhere, and I just wanted some kind of covering to put over my eyeball at that time, just to cover, so it didn't look so freaky going in junior high school. I was just nervous about starting junior high. You hear all these, horror stories, and I have an older brother, and he liked to, terrify me back then about, it's so hard in junior high, and, I just didn't want to stick out. I just wanted to blend in with the crowd back then. So my mom found a place that actually made prosthetic eyes, glass eyes. So she took me there, and I told her, I said, before we went there, I said, I'll give up all my birthday presents and all my Christmas presents for the whole year if I could just have, that covering. So she found the place, and we went, and the guy was looking at my eye, and we were explaining what we wanted. It was something just to go over that eye. And he looked at it, and he's like, you need to get to Miami, to Bascom Palmer. He's like, nobody's gonna touch that eye. He's like, that's a tumor, and it's coming out of her eyeball. And what we didn't know. So he's like, you need to get down to Bascom Palmer. That's where all the great doctors are for eyes. So that night we ended up down in Bascom Palmer, and we're thinking, it's going to be all about my left eye and this thing coming out of it. And, nobody really paid attention to that eye at all. It was all about my right eye. And I guess at that time, we had no idea, but I had tumors growing in my right eye too. And my vision at that time in my right eye was 2015. I mean, it was better than, anybody else that should be. I was seeing really great. And they had to put me, I had to go under for different kinds of surgeries, so they could work on these large tumors that were growing, and they were growing all around my retina. I guess the retina is a very vascular place, which I didn't know that, but tumors like to, grow in that. So from then on, I was, affected by, doctor visits and lots and lots and lots of surgeries. And they told my mom back then, and that was, I think, 85 or 86, to start calling, the different blind schools that I would be that I would be losing my vision, and I needed to be trained on, a guide dog, and she needed to figure out what she was going to do with me. And I just cried. I didn't want to lose my vision. I was just so afraid of being in the dark, and I couldn't imagine anything worse happening, than going blind. And that was my biggest fear in life. I could, face just about anything else, I thought, but just don't take my vision from me. So we lived, about 3 hours north of Miami back then, and we made trips back and forth all the time. I couldn't tell you how many trips we made down there, but, we were able to keep my vision, and, my life was, rearranged. I wasn't, allowed to have PE or, wrestle around with anybody because, I'm real rough kick in the head, or, just a ball to the head. My vision could go. It could just, connect my retina. So all through school, I couldn't go into the cheerleading. I was supposed to start as a cheerleader that year, and I wasn't allowed to do that. And so there were changes, and then, as I started getting older, and there was no change to the other eye, my left eye, except, the tumor kept growing and growing, and nobody was saying anything about that. They were working too hard to keep the vision that I had remaining. And I went through, laser treatments and cryo-freeze treatments, and you name it, that my right eye has probably been through it. The amount of money that we have spent on that eye, I could probably have a diamond the size of my eyeball. I mean, every penny was worth it, keeping your eyesight as long as you can. I wouldn't, go back and change anything, but I just wish I could tell, my younger self, don't be afraid. It's not anything to be afraid of. Enjoy the process, enjoy life, get off your butt. Don't let life pass you by. Do what matters to you. Speak up, don't let others, pull you along. Live your life. Do your best life. You only get one. Live it. Be happy. So I don't want to keep everybody too long. So I'm going to do another video. I'm going to probably do a chunk of little videos and go through the whole walk, I guess we'll call it, of me losing my vision. We'll go through my junior high and high school years, and then, you know, my early marriage years, and we'll go into, you know, my 30s, and here we are into the 40s. But I'll just talk about, you know, all the years and how it just got dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and now here we are till where I can't see anything. I'm just, you know, in the dark, completely blind, and I know there's nowhere to turn. It's going to be dark forever. And a video, I guess, on how I'm coping so far, because that was my biggest fear in life. I thought that I wouldn't be able to handle that. There's so many facets, I guess we'll call it, to having von Hippel-Lindau, that I thought, you know, I've had spinal surgeries, and I've told people, you know, if I end up in a wheelchair and can't walk, I'll be okay with it. I won't have a problem with it. I've had brain surgery, and I tell people, you know, I'm not afraid of brain surgery. I'll be okay with it. Kidney surgery, you know, I tell people if I end up on dialysis, that's okay. Just don't let them take my vision from me. That was my, you know, biggest fear. And now that I've walked through, you know, the fear and through the storm of, you know, going through all the emotions of losing it and stuff, I've survived it. You know, if I can walk through that fear, which was, you know, my biggest fear, that I created the fear. You know, I fed the fear. I made the fear as big as it was. So now I've, you know, walked through the fear, and I'm on the other side of it, and I'm breaking it down to the little size, you know, it is, and it's very manageable. And I just want to say we can all do it. I mean, we all have our own different struggles. Not all of you are facing losing your vision, or, you know, going through kidney surgery or brain surgery or spinal surgery, or facing VHL, or, you know, facing, you know, kidney cancer, but we all struggle with something. We all have our own struggles. And just walking through that struggle, and I think the hardest part is the start of the struggle. Not knowing what is ahead, it can be very frightful. And I'm just saying from my own, you know, point of view. My very first brain surgery, you know, I was afraid. My last one, I wasn't afraid at all. I wasn't afraid. And I had full faith in everything. There was no fear in me. They performed my brain surgery on a Friday, and me and my husband flew home, had to change, you know, airports and airplanes, and we flew home Monday, and I felt great. And I've learned, for me, it's all about attitude and perspective. You know, it's how you look at something, how I look at things. I can look at something and decide that it's a bummer and I'm all upset about it. And I can look at the same thing and decide, I can work through it. I'm going to get through it and I'm going to have a smile on my face and I'm going to be proud when I accomplish it. So I guess that's my take of the day. And as always, do for others. There's a lot of us that, have a hard time doing things. And sometimes we have a hard time even asking for help. So if you see somebody struggling, just help them. Sometimes we're grateful. Sometimes people don't seem so grateful. So just keep smiling. So thanks for listening to my little story of my early years of losing my vision. I don't want to keep everybody too long, so I will see you all around. Until next time, stay beautiful, stay blessed. Bye for now.
Viewfinder. Stop recording video.